everyone, and welcome back to the René of Paris channel. In today's video, I thought it would be really fun to put together some costume looks for you, and of course, if you can't already tell, this video is going to be about the witches from Wicked, Glinda and Elphaba. I'm really excited to show you these fantastic makeup looks, and it's such a great duo costume as well. So grab a friend, grab some makeup supplies, and grab your gorgeous wigs. Now, of course, the wigs that I'm going to be using in this video aren't costume wigs, but if you're already a daily wig wearer like I am, it's so much fun to use some of the wigs that I already have in my collection to use them as part of my costumes and have a really high quality wig for a costume look. And of course, for all of these wigs that I do use for the costumes, I'm also so excited to wear them outside of the context of a costume. This gorgeous wig right here, this is Linden, for example. Such a gorgeous wig, looks so great for the Glinda costume, and of course, I'm so excited to wear it in so many other contexts as well. So if you want to see how to achieve this look, and of course the Elphaba look with the green face paint, and learn how to make your face paint look smooth and last the night, let's go ahead and jump right into the tutorial. Now moving on to Glinda's makeup look. Her makeup is pretty neutral and straightforward. If you wanted to keep it simple, you could probably just go with your standard everyday makeup look. But today I'm going to be using the Ariana Grande version of Glinda from the movie and kind of use her makeup from the movie as a reference point. Her makeup is pretty neutral and natural looking, so that's the look I'm going to try to recreate in this video. But if you wanted to go for more of a fun Halloween look, you could also go for just some pink tones and shimmers, and that would be really fitting for a Glinda look as well. The part that I'm really going to focus on here is the eye look and the eyebrows, because I think that will really help to imitate the same exact look from the character right off the screen. I already have a light base on of a bit of primer, concealer, and a light foundation. I'm using the e.l.f. Halo Glow, which will create a really nice dewy look. Moving on to the eyeshadow, she uses a lot of light neutral browns here, almost to create a very light contour in the eyelids. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use a bit of this shade here. Now I'm going to go in with a lighter neutral shade here to fill in the rest of the eyelid. Her character in the movie doesn't wear a lot of shimmer, so if you want to stay screen accurate, you can skip this step, but I thought it would look nice for a Halloween look to add a bit of shimmer in the inner corner. I'm just taking a bit of that neutral brown and putting it under the eyelid as well. Now we're just going to go in and add a black liquid eyeliner. I'm going to soften that wing with a bit more of that neutral brown eyeshadow. I'm going to add a bit more concealer under the eyes to make sure the under eye area stays bright and doesn't get too smoky with that eyeshadow. Just a bit of contouring around the nose. Her brows are very blonde in the movie, so I'm going to keep mine on the lighter side. I am using the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Brow 1mm nano pencil. I really like the retractable pencils for doing my brows with alopecia, because you can really get that individual brow hair effect. I like using the shade medium brown because if I use a lighter hand, it gives me a lighter brow, and if I layer it, it gives me a darker brow. I change up my wigs all the time, so this is kind of flexible for a lot of different hair colors. So for this look, I'm going to keep it very light. Her brows are also a bit straighter than I normally do mine, so I'm going to try my best to mimic the shape of her brows. just layering that with a bit of my cream contour in this light shade to just lighten it up a bit. I'm going to take my NYX white eyeliner, this jumbo pencil, and just add the high points of the contour, just because she has that very kind of contoured, snatched nose. I'm going to add a bit of this under the brow and a tiny bit in my waterline. For the lips, she has a rosy lip color with a bit of a shimmery gloss on top, so I'm going to use my lip liner to just get the shape of the lip that I want. She has very full lips, so I'm just focusing a little bit more pencil on the top and the bottom, just overlining just slightly. If you overline just a little in just the center, it's pretty easy to make that look natural. Just putting a bit of lip balm on top of that. And then following with my lipstick, that way it just stays nice and hydrated. This is the Milani lipstick in the shade Peony. And then I'm going to top that with this shimmery clear lip gloss. For the lashes, if you want to go for something more screen accurate, a tapered lash would be perfect for this look. That's where the lash is shorter on the inner corner and longer on the outer corner. Her lashes are still a bit on the dramatic side, so you want a more dramatic tapered lash. I'm going to be using these lashes because I really like to use these for costume looks. I love the way these kind of give a cartoonish look to the eye with the way there's kind of little ups and downs here, like almost little spikes for the lashes. It gives a very cartoonish looking lash. That's my personal preference to use for costume looks, but if you want to be more screen accurate, stick with more of a tapered lash. Be sure to measure your lash with the shape of your eye and trim off any excess band that goes past the length of your eye. So I'm just trimming off just a little bit at the end. You can also trim the inner corner of the band to make sure any part of the lash band that's hanging over without any lash on it, just trim that off so it doesn't bother the inner corner of your eye. If you want to make your lashes look even more dramatic, you can take that little piece that you just trimmed off and add it to the end and layer it on top, so there's just a little bit more lash on the outer corner. Because I'm wearing black liquid eyeliner, I'm going to use a lash glue that dries dark. This is the Super Strong Hold Eyelash Adhesive Eye Envy from Kiss. I like this one because you can actually brush it onto your eyelid or onto the lash band, whichever one you are more comfortable with. If you're brushing it onto your eyelid directly, make sure you get all the excess product off of the brush. So you're just putting a little bit. You want to make sure you aren't messing up the eyeliner you already have on, and definitely make sure you're not getting any in your eye. If you want to make sure your lashes are extra secure throughout the evening, you can even put the lash glue on both the lash band and on your eyelid. To make sure your lashes don't get droopy, as they're drawing, you can just very gently push upwards and push along the band to make sure it's fully making contact with your eyelid. A brush-on lash glue like this is also really great for touch-ups throughout the night, so if you're worried about the lashes coming off throughout your costume outing, you could use a little bit of this to reattach if it starts to lift up in the corners. To make sure the lash looks natural, I'm also going to add a little bit more of this liquid eyeliner along the edge to make sure there's not a harsh line where the end of the lash meets the eyelid. This is more of the screen accurate makeup, but just to make it a little bit more fun for a costume look, I'm going to add a little bit of this pink highlight. And just a little bit of this light glitter. And if you want to make sure your makeup lasts the evening, make sure you use a setting spray on top. Now that the makeup is done, let's get into the really fun part with some gorgeous wig options that are really perfect for a Glinda look. Of course, we had to pull out some of our golden blonde colors here. So here we have Linden in the color Spring Honey Tea, which is a gorgeous golden blonde. And then we have Lennox in the color Ice Blonde. All of our wigs come in a wide variety of colors, so even when looking in the range of golden blondes, you can find a wide range of color options from a more golden blonde like this Spring Honey color and more of a cool toned blonde like this Ice Blonde here. So be sure to check our website reneofparis.com to see the wide variety of colors that we have to offer. First, let's go ahead and try on Lennox in Ice Blonde. This style here is one of my absolute favorites. It has a lace front, lace part, and this beautiful kind of lightly waved style. This is how the wig looks out of the box, and I'm just going to play around with the part a little bit to make sure it looks natural. I love using our wide tooth wig comb for detangling and changing the part. I'm also going to add a little bit of our Revive Liquid Enhancement Spray, just because that is really good for keeping the waves looking nice. Just a light spritz. I definitely wanted to go for an unrooted blonde option for a Glinda look, just to give that ultimate kind of golden blonde natural look. I think this wig is definitely fitting for a Glinda look. I also love the lace front, lace part on this wig, so you can do a lot of styles where the hair is kind of pulled back and still have that really natural looking hairline in the front. I could definitely imagine this wig for a Glinda look. And now let's try the other option. This one is Linden in Spring Honey Tea, which is a variation of our Spring Honey shade with a little bit lighter on the tip, so thus the T at the end of the color name. Linden is a gorgeous style that also features a lace front, lace part on the inside of the cap. And this wig is in our Natural Movement Synthetic Fiber, which is a blend of synthetic fibers that just has the ultimate kind of natural, beautiful movement to it. In order to make sure your wig stays secure for the costume look, be sure to check the adjustable straps at the nape of the neck and adjust it to your head size. Our wigs are glueless, and as long as they are adjusted to the right size, they should stay secure without any sort of adhesive. So here is Linden. I think this is an absolutely gorgeous option as well for a Glinda look. I love seeing these two wigs side by side because they definitely have some similarities as well as some differences, and it just goes to show just how much variation there are with different wig options that we have available with René of Paris, so you can find exactly what you're looking for, whether it's for a costume look or for a day-to-day look. Again, you have that lace front, lace part, so you can really pull the hair back and have that incredibly natural looking hairline. I think I'm going to go with this wig of the two wig options. Let's go ahead and style it like Glinda. The costume look I'm going to be going with is her classic pink dress, so let's go with the hairstyle to match. Before styling my wigs, I like to make sure they are completely detangled with my wide tooth wig comb. This is so incredible for getting out any tangles with these wigs, and these wigs are very high quality synthetic wigs, so they already are not prone to tangling to begin with. I also like to use the Revive Liquid Enhancement as well before styling. Just a light spritz, I find, makes the fibers even easier to work with. You can see just how little these fibers tangle because as I move my fingers through the hair, they don't get caught even slightly, and that is just so nice with these high quality synthetic wigs, especially when you're doing any styling to them. They're just much easier to work with. As someone who loves doing costumes and also wears wigs regularly, I love using wigs like this for costume looks because I know I'm going to wear them outside of costumes as well, but it's just really amazing for the costume look if you really want to just have the top tier costume quality. So while these are not costume wigs, they're really fun to be able to use for costume looks, especially knowing that I'm going to wear the wig plenty outside of the costume as well. When she has her hair pulled back into the crown like this, it's kind of all pulled back. That's why this lace front is going to be really nice for this kind of style, because with the pulled back hairstyle, it's still going to look natural. The hairstyle itself is pretty simple. I'm just going to brush it back on each side and use a light colored bobby pin so it blends in with the hair. When you do this, just make sure that none of the wig netting is exposed. You can kind of do that by feeling with your fingers or just having someone check for you. That's the other good part about high quality synthetic wigs. They're going to have a nice density to them so that as you move the hair around, you're not going to run into that right away, and you can still style them without exposing the cap. But you do just want to be conscious to check it after you style it. And there you have a very simple Glinda hairstyle, and of course that is topped off with the crown. To make sure your crown stays secure, if it doesn't already have combs attached, you can use hot glue and just attach some little hair clips. I would put them on either side to make sure you have two sides holding it in place. Okay, and here is the final look. Any frilly pink dress will do for this look to create a kind of Glinda vibe, especially if you are in an Elphaba Glinda duo. People will right away know exactly who you are. This costume is just so good for a group costume, whether you're doing the Wicked characters or if you want to incorporate the traditional Wizard of Oz characters. It's just such a perfect look. Glinda in particular, you can almost even do as a closet costume if you have any sort of pink clothing like this and a blonde wig like this one. All you need besides that is a crown and a tiara. It doesn't even have to be the exact one from the movie. Any variation of these props will automatically bring this look together. So there you have it. Here is the final Glinda look. For Elphaba's makeup look, the main thing I'm going to focus on is how to get your face paint smooth and long lasting. If you've ever worked with face paint before, then you know it can be a little bit of a hassle, and throughout the night it can start to get kind of flaky and crusty, and I'm going to answer some questions about how to make sure that stays smooth throughout the day. For one thing, it's all about the type of face paint you use. That will make a huge difference. There are a couple of brands that I would recommend over others. You also want to make sure you use the right products to prime and set it. So always use a primer under your face paint, and then you're going to want to use a translucent powder to set it and a really good setting spray. These things will really help the face paint to last throughout the whole evening. A popular brand that a lot of people really like for face paint, and I do love it as well, is Miron Makeup. So this is my Miron palette. This is water activated, so you would use a little bit of water to activate it to be able to apply it. A lot of times when I use Miron it works really well, but if you're not careful and you don't apply it correctly, this can get really crusty really easily and it's very difficult to touch up. So I have another product that I would recommend, especially if you're a beginner to doing face paint. And that's what I'm going to be using in this video. This is called Sunset Makeup, and what it is actually a colorful foundation. So it applies just like any other makeup foundation that you would use, but it comes in a wide variety of bright, fun colors. So of course I'm going to be using their green color in today's video. And when you're doing face paint, another important step is to add kind of highlights and shadows with your face paint, because if you just put flat face paint color, it's gonna look a bit flat. So I also have the white makeup as well. That'll help me to add some highlights in the high points where I might normally put concealer or highlighter. And also I'm gonna use some kind of darker green for a contour as well. I'm also going to do this makeup process without my wig on because the face paint can kind of get into the hair and get into the lace and things like that. Once you set it, you won't have to worry about that as much, but generally it's probably a good idea to do the makeup process without the wig on. Make sure you're starting with a nice moisturized base, and then I'm going to go in and prime with this here. This is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. The normal primer that I use has a bit of a skin tint to it, so you want to use something that doesn't have any sort of tint. This will also create a layer between your skin and the product, which will help to minimize staining. Sometimes face paints can leave a bit of a stain. I used this green foundation just this past weekend for another costume look, and I was having a bit of trouble getting it off. So make sure you also have a good oil-based cleanser to really get this makeup off. Sunset Makeup has their own makeup remover as well, and that should work really well with their products. But creating a nice layer between the product and your skin should also help to make a difference. Because I will be putting the foundation on my neck as well, I'm gonna also put some primer there. For the same reason, I'm actually going to put a layer of setting spray over my primer. Normally I wouldn't do this, but this is just going to help create a barrier between your skin and the product to minimize staining. So you can skip the step if you want to, but I think it'll just kind of create an extra layer of protection. I'm going to use this green foundation color directly as is, but if you do want to add some black to it to darken it or some white to it to lighten it, I would suggest kind of creating a little mixture on some sort of plain surface where you can kind of make a lot of it at once. That way you're not going to be applying different shades all over your face, kind of create a little palette to work with. I'm actually going to do the same. I'm going to put a couple of pumps on this directly onto some sort of flat surface and then use my makeup sponge to blend it onto my face. I like using these little makeup wedges because then once it's stained green it doesn't feel like a big waste, because generally it's gonna probably only want to be used for green makeup after this. Let's go ahead and just put this on. Because this is a foundation, it really applies like a foundation, and I can put this on so much more quickly than standard face paint. And I find it's much easier to keep it smooth. This product is also nice and buildable, unlike some other face paints. Once you put a layer on, it can be kind of difficult to layer on top of it for the texture. As you can see, I'm not getting any cakiness or texture with this at all. It's really just like a high quality foundation in green. You're going to want to put this on any part of your skin that will be visible. So if you think your ears are going to be visible, you're going to want to put it there and on your neck. I'm putting a little bit of the green on my neck now, but I'm also going to add some more once I have the costume on, because that way I'll be able to tell how far down I have to go. She does have a green lip as well, so I just did a little dab over my lips. A lot of face paints would leave your lips feeling dry. This is actually working pretty well for that, but if you have a green lipstick or something, that would also be really ideal. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of the white, also put that on the surface that I'm working with, and I'm going to use that to kind of add in some highlights. And that should also blend with the makeup that I already have on if it's not set yet. Now with this, I'm not going for a glamorous look, I'm just trying to add in more dimension, because adding all one solid color just kind of takes away that dimension. So I'm really just putting a bit on the high points of my face, like under my eyes, on just the tip of my nose, a bit on the eyelid, and some on my chin. You want to do this while the initial base that you put on is still kind of wet and not set already, because it'll just blend in really nicely with what you already have on. You probably want to keep some makeup wipes handy as well, just to clean off your fingertips so you're not getting face paint or this colorful foundation on all of your makeup products. Now I actually have this green eyeshadow palette, which is really perfect for this makeup look. I'm just going to use this darker shade here, almost like a contour. I'm actually going to take that darker eyeshadow shade and just put it on the sponge that I've been using. That way it'll kind of like blend in with the makeup that's kind of left over on there, and just kind of add a contour. What's nice about this makeup is if it starts to kind of rub off, it's very easy to go back in and add a bit more. Whereas if you're working with a mirror-on face paint, for example, if you start to get patchiness, it's quite hard to cover that up. So this makeup is very forgiving. I'm really just adding this in any places where I would add a contour. And if it starts to look a bit too dark, I can even go back in and layer more of the foundation on top of that. So it just kind of evens everything back out again. A little bit of nose contour. And I'm just going to go back in with a bit more of the original green color just to kind of even it all out so it doesn't look so harsh. So you can kind of see how I'm making adjustments as I go, and so you don't have to follow these exact steps in this exact order, but you can kind of see you can add some darker shades as contour, add more white back in for some highlights, because generally you're going for dimension so it doesn't look flat. Another good tip is to check your makeup in different lighting, because then you'll be able to see if you have any sort of patchiness going on. Elphaba's character wouldn't really have any glam makeup going on, so you can skip this step for a more movie accurate look, but I'm going to add just a little bit of a shimmery eyeshadow for a costume look. I think that just kind of makes it a little bit more fun. So this is optional. I just love how this green palette has so many good shades to work with. I feel like it would be going to waste if I didn't use a little bit. This will also kind of help to set the foundation around the eye area as well. So even if you're not using a shimmery eyeshadow, if you find a green eyeshadow that's matte and matches the shade of your face paint, that will also help to just kind of set the eye area as well. So I'm just gonna go in and use a little bit of this shade, and then maybe a little bit of the kind of lighter highlight. Here's something to notice is as I'm looking at this closer mirror, I see when I kind of move my face, you can see some kind of patches here that I missed. So look at your face from different angles, in different lighting, to make sure you're not getting any spots like that where you don't have any coverage. That goes for the eye area as well. I like to bring the color as close to the eye area as I can without irritating my eyes. Another thing you can do is to get a green eyeliner that matches, because then you can get really close to the waterline without getting the foundation in your eye. And now I'm going to add a little bit more of that lighter shimmer shade just in the kind of highlight points. Again, this is kind of a little bit more of a glam version, so you can kind of do whichever version you think looks better. This will just kind of make your eyes pop as well. And then I'm also kind of using this as a highlight as well. This is more so the costume party version rather than necessarily the most accurate character version. That's the great thing about costumes, is you can really just get creative and add your own spin to things. Now this step is very important. You want to make sure you set your face paint or foundation with a translucent powder. I'm using the Mirror-On setting powder, which is specifically made for face paints. So it's a loose powder. I'm just going to tap a little bit into the cap. And you want to use a nice fluffy brush. That'll kind of add the powder without creating any harsh lines in the makeup. And I'm just going to go in and lightly tap that over my whole face. After you add this translucent powder, you're not going to want to go back in with more face paint or foundation, so make sure this is the last step that you do before moving on to the rest of the makeup. And now I'm going to add another layer of setting spray. Using a bit of translucent powder and a lot of setting spray is really going to prevent the makeup from rubbing off onto your clothes and onto your wig. When I get to the wig step, I'll show you how to kind of minimize getting the makeup on your wig. Of course, if you do get any of the makeup on your wig, it will come out with the regular wig washing process. Just be careful with certain face paints and foundations. They might be able to stain maybe the lace or something. So if you make sure it's set really thoroughly with these steps, then you can minimize getting any of the foundation on your wig. For the brows, I'm going to go in with that darker green eyeshadow again and an eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to kind of map out where I want the brow to be, because she kind of does have these dark green brows. Then I'm going to go in with my usual retractable brow pencil. This is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Brow 1mm Nano Pencil. This is what I usually use to do my alopecia brows because that really fine tip helps to kind of create that individual brow hair effect. And so I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of this on top just to kind of still create that brow hair effect. If you have brows of your own, maybe you can just kind of use the eyeshadow with your natural brows. I'm going to finish off the lips by adding a little bit of a black eyeliner as a lip liner, and I'm going to blend that with the foundation and with this kind of greenish lip product I have. The black eyeliner, or maybe if you have a dark green lip liner or something like that, that'll just kind of create some separation between the rest of the face and the lip, so the lips are more defined. I don't want it to look too harsh, so I'm kind of just blending it out with my finger. And then I'm adding this matte lip cream on top. I'm actually putting a little bit of a lighter green eyeshadow in the middle because her lips aren't so dark, but you can just work with whatever products you have. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of black liquid eyeliner. And I'm going to kind of add a little bit of pencil liner, make that less defined. Now I'm going to add some lashes. Again, she is the kind of less glam character of the two, but because it is a costume look, I am going to do a little bit of a fun lash just because I like doing lashes like these for costume makeup looks. So I'm going to use one like this that kind of has the little like spiked lashes. As always, be sure to check the lash band against your eye and see if you have to trim off any if it goes kind of past where your eyelid ends. So I'm going to trim off just a little bit. And I'm going to use my lash glue that dries dark, and I'm actually going to put it on my eyelid with this brush on glue. I just find that a bit easier. That's a good tip if you have trouble with lashes. And if you're going out to a costume party or something like that and you want to make sure you have an extra strong hold with the lashes, you can even put some on the lash band and on your eyelid for a double grip. And that is the final makeup look. I'm gonna go ahead and add one more layer of setting spray because that's what will really help to lock in the face paint so it's not getting on everything all night. And this Sunset Makeup Foundation, I wore it the other day for another costume look and it lasted really well throughout the whole day. Wasn't getting all over everything and I was quite impressed with it, so this is a good thing to check out. For the neck, I might continue it down a little bit once I have the costume on, but I think she kind of has a relatively high neckline. And for the hands, you can put the foundation on your hands if you want. And once you set it, it probably won't be getting all over everything all day. But you can also use gloves that match the color of the skin tone you're going for. And so I probably would go with that route so I didn't have to worry about getting face paint all over everything. Now let's add the wig. So here I have the wig style Lennox. This is in the color Dark Chocolate. I figured this was a perfect wig for this look because she just has long, dark hair, no highlights or streaks or anything like that. So I thought this was very fitting. And this also happens to be one of my all-time favorite wig styles. So again, if you are wearing a high-quality synthetic wig for a costume look, it's also really nice when you know you're going to wear that wig outside of the costume look as well. So I'm just very excited to have this wig in my collection in general. Let's go ahead and put the wig on. There we go. This wig has a lace front lace part with the lace in the middle. Now the lace part in the middle is actually quite wide, so you do have some styling flexibility there, and the character seems to wear her hair in a side part. So I'm just slightly combing the hair over to one side to create more of that side part. And with that lace front, you can kind of comb the hair back with your fingers and have that natural looking hairline. So I'm just kind of combing the hair back into one side because she has this braid that falls in the front on one side. And then you're just going to do a standard braid. If you braid the hair with it already kind of pulled over your shoulder, then it will stay in that spot. Between the original Wicked musical and the movie, I think her hair is styled differently in different versions and in different scenes, so pick your reference photo and style the hair however you feel is fitting. Sometimes she wears her hair kind of just down or in pigtails pulled back, but this is one of the movie looks that I'm going for. And here is the final Elphaba look with the dress on. You can really use any kind of dress that fits this vibe. It doesn't have to be perfectly screen accurate. This already with the green face paint and the hairstyling will already be very recognizable. And of course you want to have some sort of witch's hat. This is actually the one styled after the movie. Let's go ahead and just add that on top. So here's it with the witch's hat. So any parts of my skin that are still exposed, I could then go back in and add a little bit more of that foundation. I don't really want to get face paint on this dress right now, so I'm not going to do it right now, but you can just add a little bit more. And normally her dress actually is long sleeves, so I would maybe switch to a dress that has long sleeves instead of the 3/4 sleeves. However, another solution rather than adding the face paint is to use sheer gloves like this. You'd probably want a little bit better of a color match, but just to give you an idea of what that looks like. It'll end up looking something like this, and that way you don't have to worry about having face paint on your body and your arms all night. You don't have to worry about making sure it washes off, and then you can just have the effect of having green arms. And again, this isn't the best color match. Ideally, you'd want that to be a good match. Whenever I'm putting together any sort of costume and I have to worry about a color match like that, I often will buy multiple different options, especially if I'm buying online. As long as I can return the options that don't work as well, that way I have something to choose between and I'm not caught in a situation where I'm stuck with a bad color match. But you kind of get the idea here. With your face paint throughout the night, I highly recommend keeping a touch-up kit with you. That would really just be bringing the face paint, bring your setting spray, bring your translucent powder, and also definitely bring your lash glue. This brush-on lash glue is really great for lash touch-ups throughout the night. That way, if you're out and about and the face paint starts to kind of come undone or something does not look the best, you can touch it up while you're out. And again, compared to other face paints I've tried before, this Sunset Makeup face paint has worked really well for me for another costume I did recently, so I do recommend that as a good option. And so here is the final look. And that brings us to the end of this costume video. Let me know in the comments below which of these two makeup looks you like better, whether you like the Elphaba look or the Glinda look, and also let me know in the comments below if you think you might be using any of these makeup tips for your costume this year. If you want to learn more about any of the wigs that we showed in this video, you can view all of the information on these wigs on our website, reneofparis.com. You can look up these styles, search by style, see all of the different color options they're available in, and all that good info. Of course, while these wigs aren't necessarily costume wigs, if you're someone that already wears wigs on a regular basis anyway, it can be a really fun opportunity to have a really high quality wig for your costume look, and then still be able to wear the wig for plenty of other occasions after the fact. So while this wig is absolutely stunning for this Glinda costume, I'm also just really excited to wear it in so many other costumes, and same with all of the wigs that I showed in today's video. Don't forget to follow us on both YouTube and Instagram at René of Paris to stay up to date on all of our latest wig releases and for more wig tips and tutorials. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.